हरि ओम् नमः सर्वेभ्यः अद्वैतचिन्तनवर्गे सर्वेषां स्वागतम्। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्यासम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ मौनं व्याख्या प्रकटितपरब्रह्मतत्त्वं युवानं वर्षिष्ठान् देवसदृशिगणैरावृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रमानन्दमूर्तिम् स्वात्मा रामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीडे वडपिडपि समीपे भूमिभागे निषण्णं सकलं मुनिजनानां ज्ञानदातारमारात् त्रिभुवनगुरुमीशं दक्षिणामूर्तिदेवं जननमरणदुःखच्छेददक्षं नमामि। चित्रं वडतरोर्मूले वृत्ता शिष्या गुरुर्युवा गुरोस्तु मौनं व्याख्यानं शिष्यास्तु छिन्न संशया निधये सर्वविद्यानां विषजे भवरोगिणां गुरवे सर्वलोकानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः प्रणवार्ताय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। चितोद्घनाय महेशाय वडमूलनिवासिने सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्भूतं यदा निद्रया यत्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्गुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महा योगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये यस्यैव स्फुरणं सदात्मकमसत्कल्पार्थकं भासते साक्षात् तत्त्वमसीति वेदवचसा यो बोधयत्याश्रिता यत्साक्षात्करणात् भवेन्न पुनरावृत्तिर्भवाम्भोनिधौ तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नानाचित्रगडोदरस्थिरमहादीपप्रभाभास्वरम् ज्ञानं यस्य तु चक्षुरादिचरणद्वारा बहिस्पन्दते जानामीति तमेव बान्धमनुभाति एतत् समस्तं जगत् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये देहं प्राणमपीन्द्रियाण्यपि जलां बुद्धिं च शून्यं विदुः श्रीबालान्तजडोपमात्वमहमिति भ्रान्ताभृशं वादिनः विलासकल्पितमहाद्योमोहसंहारिणे तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये. Sorry for that gap. Last week we discussed about the Jagra Swapna Sushupti. Before that, in the last Stothra, we saw how the sense organs are functioning and how the knowledge is arising. Now, who is the one in the whole process, which is the consolidator or the presiding function, on whose presence these things are happening? That is being explained as Atman or Satchidananda Brahma, which is in the coming slokas. 38, 39 are the slokas there. We are on the 26th one now. Tatra maya samachannasan matro vartade puman modo jado atmyam ityevam mayavashavat prakashate. So even though tatra maya samachan na sanmatraha vartade puman modaha jataha ajnaha iti evam maya aveshat prakashyate. Maya aveshat. So what is happening is that the Atman is present even when the Maya is creating the delusion. The Atman remains as pure even when this Maya is creating, because of which we think we are the Mudha, Jnani, Jadaha, Jivaha, Atnyaha, all those things, like the dull-headed, the intelligent, or whether the dead body or living, all these are on the superimposition on the body. Same way, so the delusion happens in the manas, in the mind. Maya samachat samat. So how it is being done is explained in the next sutra. Sukham apswapsiti atyevam prabodha samaye puman satchidananda rupasan samyak prakashate. So sukham apswapsiti evam. This is basically a quotation taken from the Chandogya Upanishad. Sati sampadya na viduhu sati sampadhyamahe. Having known that I have become the pure, untouched awareness without any upadhi or with any association with any instrument also. So when I am totally untouched or unconditioned by any of the things, I get the sukham, or I get the happiness of the purity or the bliss, that I have nothing to limit me, contaminate me, or afflict me. All those things of which we face in our waking and the dream do not happen in the deep sleep. But pramoda samaye, but the moment when we wake up, Satchidananda Rupa San, even though we were in the Sati Sambhadya Viduhu, na Sati Sambhadyamahe, but we do not know what is the reason with which we are able to function in the waking and the dream. This clarity of knowing the reality on which the appearances are coming is not possible is not there in the waking and the dream. Therefore, the happiness which is there in the deep sleep is not present there, because we associate with our own limited instruments. If it is the waking body, we limit to the waking body and its own conditions, adjectives, limitations, and the relationship, etc. In the dream, unfulfilled waking desires plus projections and hallucinations and wishful thinking, all these things are projected, and the capacity to enjoy those things, even though physically not possible, is being done in the dream. But having abandoned both the dream and the waking, when we abide in our own true nature, Sachidananda Surupatvam, that is our real nature. When we are remaining in that, we have the experience of Sugam absorption. But the problem is that there, neither the knowledge nor the Surupa is of any help for us to sort out these issues of waking and dream. Because when we wake up, we bring that misapprehension of the reality, and the superimposition on the non-apprehended reality as I am the body, I am the man, and all the adjectives of the body is superimposed. So that way, even though we know that what is our real happiness, that ekatvam manupashyata is another word used in the Upanishad, that oneness or the unity. This unity is the same unity for every being, whether it's man, woman, young, old, child. There is no difference. The happiness we all share in our deep sleep. There is no difference between one deep sleep and another deep sleep. Everybody experiences the same thing. And therefore, but we are not knowing what is that commonness, ekatvam, that one entity from where we are all merged into, and from where we take the separate body, like the waves all merge into the same ocean, but when they pick up, they appear to be separate waves, same way. Now here comes that Ishvara, the one light and existence. Now what is that? Is that itam jagat samavishya vasamane maheshware suryadyopi vasante kimu tanye ghadadayaha. Now this is another mantra which is reflected. Na tatra suryo bhadina chandratarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyam agni tameva bandham anubhati sarvam tasya vasa sarvamidam vivasa. It is there in the Kathopanishad. We heard it is there in the Mundaka Upanishad also. So this way, the Maheshwara, that the one which we identified with the deep sleep, Jagat Samavishya Vasamane, having projected the world and enlightens it, or make it available, knowable world, in which Suryadeyopi api vasante, even the brightest sun and the other shining objects are also enlightened or made available for knowledge because of the presence of the Ishvara Maheshwara, or the Sachidananda as a form of Andaryami or Swaprakashata. These are the different words which are being used. Then Kimutanye Gadadeha. Then what to talk about the other non-reflecting materials like that. So Tameva Bandham Anubhadi Sarva. Only when that light, that one light of existence from within inside, when it is being projected through the body, we feel as if the world is being known by the knowledge. Even the sun, it becomes an object for knowledge, even though it has got the shining of its own, but the presence of the sun, even when it is shining, unless it is known by the individual, the brightness of the sun has no meaning for him. Then what to talk about the pot and other things. So here he is giving the macrocosm, microcosm, which is basically the table which he has made from the Mandukya Upanishad. Upadhi, Brahmana's manifestation. Avyakrita or Avyakta. This is the deep sleep. In the Ishvara or Akshara. Upadhi is Karna Sharira, is the deep sleep. And he is called Pratnya and in the Sushupti. And when he takes the Upadhi or the instrument of the Sutratman or the subtle body, in the microcosm he is known as Taijasa with the Linga Sharira, and in the macrocosm the same Taijasa is called the Sutratman. The Linga Sharira of the micro is called the Hiranyagarbha in the macrocosm. And that is similar to the Swapnavastha, where the subtle experiences are being experienced. And then comes to the waking world, Jagrat. In the microcosm we know that it is known as Vishwa, and Virat is the macrocosm, similar this thing. Here the instrument is Sthula Sharira, and he is also known as Vaishwanara in the macrocosm. So this chart is basically a representation of the mantras 3 to 6 of Mandukya Upanishad. Basically he has taken this from the Mandukya Upanishad, the third mantra to sixth mantra, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Tasmat satta spuratta cha bhavanam ishwarashrayat satyajnanam anantam cha shrutya brahma upadishyate. Tasmat satta. Therefore, the existence, spuratta, is that it is a bright, it is the making it itself available is what is called the spurata. So, when an object is existing, the existing is what we call it as an existence is an appearance of awareness when we condition it to by the name and the form of an object. But the name and the object in the existence has to express itself, its presence, in the form of spurata or spuranam, or the knowing principle of its existence. That is what is called the spurata. Cha bhavanam ishvara ashrayat. And even the bhavana means projections, like the name and the form. Ishvara ashraya, it's all without the Ishvara ashraya, these things cannot by itself cannot happen, because satya jnanam anantam cha. This is the definition given by the Shruti. Brahma upadishyate. The Brahma is being advised, or is being declared, or even announced by the Shruti or the Upanishad as Satya Jnanam Anantam. Now the word Satya Jnanam Anantam in itself is a terminology which needs a lot of discussion on that. They are not independently separate. Satyam means real, Jnanam means awareness or consciousness, Anandam means infinite or endless. Now, in our transactional world, when we look at it, they have the three different meanings. The reality means there is something which is unreal. Whereas when it comes to Brahma, there is nothing unreal about it. Everything is Satyam only. There is na anartham. So that in the Kathopanishad we have na anartham, Satyam Jnana anartham. So that anartham is not present in Brahma. Even anartham is a Satyam in the Brahma knowledge, because what we call it as anartham is not knowing the reality. its existence is still known to us, that something unreal, we cannot refer to it unless we know that something unreal is existing. So Satyam here doesn't mean that it is only truth. So it is also representing both the aspects of existence. Satyam, Sat, Satyam, these both the words are used in there is a detailed Shankara Bhashya on the Taittiriya Upanishad about explaining this word, Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma. Basically it is from the Taittiriya Upanishad. There is a lot total description, and logically he is explaining the interchangeability of the word to represent each one of them. Unless it is real, it cannot be conscious. So the reality and the consciousness cannot be separated out. An object unreal even unreal also is within awareness. So how will you take out the awareness of real and unreal? But both real and unreal is only transactional point of view, but in reality both real and unreal are satta, or existence of in different forms only, in the name and forms. And anandam is the nature of awareness, because it is partless, avyayam. There is no vyayam for it or decay for it, or no way you can say that awareness can be divided, split. Objects can vary, but awareness doesn't get bifurcated by the bifurcation or the separation of the objects. So Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma we will discuss in detail when we take Taittiriya Upanishad and the Shankara Bhashya for it. For the right time, it is that which is being referred in the in the Upanishad as Brahma. That is the Spurata. That is the one which is the shining entity, because of which we know the existence of anything in the world. And when we know the existence of something, we project on that the adjectives, and we call it as objects by different names. Now, for example, in the last class I told you about the orange. We cannot say there is orange is not there or orange is there. Sad asat, we cannot say, because without the color, the taste, or the looks or anything, all those things are forms, names, and dharma abhas, this thing. So it is the dependency of the qualities on a substratum, and the conglomeration of all the dependent qualities of an object defines the object. But you can, when you look at it separately, is the color of the orange that makes the orange? You cannot say. The color is seen separate outside also, in other objects also. Is it the flavor of the orange? No, that is not also the thing. They can have the same flavor by means of other fruits also, or other artificially also we can make it. So the shape, all those things, adjectives which we give it onto an object. But when we remove all of them, yet we have a sense of experience called it is. That isness without the it. It means we are trying to focus into one space, location, desha kala. But when I say is, it is orange. When I say the isness is what makes the orange exist, not the qualities of the orange. Same way, that is all those qualities which we are superimposed on that isness is called the bhavana. That also is Ishwarashraya. That is also depending upon the Brahma or the Ishvara, because knowledge is in different forms. So even the imagination has dependency on the Ishvara for us to project. But it is when we are forgetting that Satta, the shining, the existence of the Satta, and the names and forms which is being projected on that, we think that the world is separately existing. But only when we know the Satyajnanam Anandam as the Brahma is what the Upanishad is given, then we will know the reality of that. Jagrat Swapnod Bhavam Sarvam Asatyam Jadam Andavat Ishwarat chahamityevam vasate sarva jandushu jagrat swapnodbhavam sarvam asatyam. All that what is being springing up in our experience in us in the form of jagrat and swapna, the waking and the dream, is asatyam, is not real or is unreal, in the sense that they do not have independent reality, or they have to depend upon something else for their own existence. Jadam andavat. Now here is like a blind man, andava. For him, the senseless body and a sleeping man, he cannot make out a difference unless he is, bringing his hand close to the nose and the heart, the pulse, and etc. For him, the body lying as a sleeping body or a dead body, both are, he will say, the same. Same way, the Jagra Swapnodbhava Sarvam, all those things which are being projected in the waking and the Swapna, is asatyam, because they do not have that independent existence. So when we are in our ignorance, we think that waking is real, Swapnam is unreal, but both Swapnam and Jagrat is the same, similar asatyam, is both equally unreal. Ishwarat ahamityevam vasade sarvajandushu. Ishwarat chaha ityevam. Ishwarascha aham. Ishwaraha cha aham ityevam vasate. It is only Ishvara, that which is thinking here. Jagrat is existing and Swapna is existing. Who is experienced? It is only because of the presence of the Ishvara. Aham ityevam vasate sarvajandushu. This ego, or the individuality which we are feeling in each one of us, is indeed that Ishvara only. That awareness which is there within us is the real nature of Ishvara. But when we associate it with our mind and intellect and the antakarana, and then we project the Jagrat Swapna, we are forgetting the nature of Ishvara and assuming the roles of the Jagrat Purusha or Swapna Purusha. Same in the Sarvajandushu, not only in each one of us, in every animal, every creation, it is the same. Therefore, the Ishvara himself is the individual or the ego. Here the ego doesn't mean the egotism or egoism. It is ego means individualism. And Ishvara himself manifests as the ego in all conditions. Ahamityeva ekatma pratyasaram, which is there in the Mandukya, or aham. This every creation, every creature says I. That I experience, the I-ness which is there in each one of us, is Ishvara himself. Nirvikalpaha cha shuddhaha cha malinaha cha iti aham trivida. Nirvikalpaha shuddhaha cha malinaha chi trividam, aham trividam. Nirvikalpam param brahma nirdhutakila kalpanam dhulamantya kara dhuma abra nirmukta gaganopamam. So nirvikalpascha shuddhascha malinaha cha iti aham trivida. This aham, this I, is projected itself as three. One is the malinaha, when it is associating with things are lower in nature, which is clouded with qualities and adjectives and all those things. Shuddhascha, where we feel the purity and the sanctity and we project that. And nirvikalpaha means without any vikalpa means any change in its nature. So these are the three ways in which the aham, the I is saying. Basically, malina is you can say, is the experience of the waking, where we have the most contaminated association with our body. Shuddhascha is something very closer to the deep sleep, or in the deep sleep where we feel that. Malina, when I say Jagrat, you should say Jagrat and Swapna together, where the association of the physical and subtle bodies are there. Nirvikalpaha is where we know that we are there, but we are not the one who are sleeping. As a sleeper, I know the sleeper separate from me. So Nirvikalpam Param Brahma. That Nirvikalpa Rupam of Aham is the Parabrahma Surupam in each one of us. Nirdhutakila Kalpanam Dhulan Nyandakara Dhuma Abhra Nirmukta Gaganopamam. Now this Nirvikalpam Param Brahma, how it is that undifferentiated universal ego, the pure and impure, thus ego is threefold, is the first line. The undifferentiated universal ego is this Nirvikalpam Param Brahma, is the Supreme Brahman, who is devoid of all distinctions, like into Akasha, free from dust, that is Dhulandhyakara Dhrumam Nirmuktam Gaganopamam, from dust, darkness, smoke and cloud. In the sky, we see that there is dust, or in the darkness, smoke, cloud, these are all there in the sky, but that doesn't touch or taint or contaminate the space. Same is the same of the Supreme Brahman, or the universal ego, which is present in all the three avastatraya sakshi, all the three states of Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. That universal entity, even though we may use it, the word I am the one who is knowing I slept, I know that I was dreaming, I know that I was awake. The I, when it is not associated with the waker, the dreamer and the deep sleeper, is the pure one, which is like this, in which the waking happens, the dream happens and the deep sleep happens. Viveka samaye shuddham dehadinam vyapohanat yathandariksham samiksham nakshatrai kinjit ikshate. Viveka samaye shuddham dehadinam vyapohanat. Vivoka samaye, the time of this, that knowledge when the thing happening, shuddham dehadinam vyapohanat, when the discrimination, or when he is disassociating with the association with the bodies and becoming the pure shuddham, and that happens in the viveka samaya. By in the knowledge only it can happen. Experiences will be always having the association, but only intellectually we can be able to differentiate and have that experience of unassociated body experience. You can look at the body as an object, not associate. At the same time, we are associating with the body to look at it. So there is a two-way of looking at it. When it is in the pure way, that with the knowledge dissociate from the body and say that I am not the body. So that time you are becoming shuddham. Yada antariksham samiksham nakshatrai kinchidikshate. This akasha is seen little through the starlight, limited extent. Like when that distant star is shining, the sky is in the pitch darkness, look as if it is very limited. But we know that the night sky is not limited by the spot of the shining star which we see in the sky. Same way, this experience of the individuality in this body is like the star in a space, where the space has all the stars, which means everything in the Jagat is that star, that light only. But the light and the star has the dependency on the sky, which is contaminated with the upadhis of the stars. So we have to understand that nakshatra is the reason which the limitation in the sky is antariksham is samkshiptam, is limitation is felt, but that is not a reality. Dehendriyadi samsargat malinam kalushikritam yada akasham tamorudam spurati anavakashat. So dehendriya samsargat malinam kalushitam bhavati. Like the ego or the individual feels contaminated or limited because of the limitation of the deha in the indriyadi samsargat. When it is projecting through identifying through the body and the sense organs, we feel the limitation, and the qualities of the deha and the indriya malinam ityadi kalushitam kritam is superimposed on this body, is what is it is getting contaminated. Yatha akasham tamorudam spurati na anavakashavat. In the pitch of darkness, the same sky is present, but it has got a spuranam, or the existence. We cannot say the sky is not there in the pitch darkness. Looks as if there is no space, is what we feel when we look into in the pitch night darkness, when we were not even the moon, even the new moon is not there on the Amavasi day. We feel that there is nothing there is nothing called sky. That covered by the pitch darkness, tamorudam, akasham, even then it is spurati. There it has its existence, or the existence Satchidananda Rupam of Akasha has not gone anywhere. Unlike the other days when we see the moon and the full stars, and that sky is lit by the sunlight or the moonlight, or during daytime the whole sky is seen with the blueness. The sky has not gone through any change. It is that knowledge aspect, the true aspect of the reality is still there. This is exactly what we should understand, that when we do not have knowledge of other things, doesn't mean we are not having the knowledge or the awareness. In the deep sleep, what happens is this state of tamorudam, as if it is covered by the pitch of darkness, not knowing the existence of the individual itself, nor any of the object. Vishesha vijnana abhava, that is the word used by Shankara. Anything other than itself becomes a vishesha. Vishesha vijnana abhavat, but the knowledge of anything existing other than oneself, in the absence of that, it appears to be a pitch dark, or that I knew nothing. The I knew nothing has the spuranam, that I know. That is that knowledge of that spurati anavakashavat. So without the akasha, the sky is still there. That is the experience, exactly what we feel when in our deep sleep also. We experience nothing, but at the same time there is no experiencer without the experiencing. Therefore the experiencer also is not there. We have what is called that absence of experience, but it is not an absence of existence. That is why the spuranam, or the satta spuranam, the existence is not negated. So that is the case of the deep sleep. Ahamitya aishwaryam bhavam yada jiva prabhutyate sarvajna sat sarvakarta ta cha tada jivo bhavishyati. When this knowledge of that is my real nature, untouched by anything of the waking, anything of the dream, or the absence of other objects of the deep sleep. That, when it is understood, you are transcending beyond the waking, dream and deep sleep. There only Aishwaryam Bhavam, that Ishwarasya Bhavam, Aishwarya Bhavam. That Aham, I am that Ishwara, I am that Lord who was present everywhere in that experience. It is not limited by the body, because you are no more with the association with the body. Therefore, you become the Ishvara. That is why the Chandogya Upanishad says, Sadasampatya, having one become with the Sat Chitananda, Sati Sampatya, Sat Sampatya. Na viduhu Sati Sampatya mate, we are not. But that doesn't mean that we are only Ishvara in the deep sleep. No. That is in the same Ishvara is the when Prabhutyate, when we know that the Jiva Prabhutyate, when that individuality or the identification of the limitation comes also, he then at that time becomes a Sarvajna, Sarvakarta. Because knowledge other than himself, he becomes a Sarvajna. Knowing everything other than himself becomes Sarvajna. Sarvakarta, because all the actions which he is seeing, he in his presence, when I wake up, or the whole experiences are happening to me. And in my knowledge, every experience which is coming to me is due to my doership or my act, in my action. So that time I become the Jiva. Jivo Bhavishyati. That time I am limiting myself to be embodied person, limited by these one, with the knowledge of the reality, Sarvajna Sarvakarta. So the Sarvajna Sarvakarta is a Jiva, is an individual who associates himself with the Jagrat Swapna Sushupti. At the same time, in the bosom of his knowledge, he knows his reality. Therefore, he becomes Sarvajna and Sarvakarta. This is the all-knower and Antisti. Mayaya Adhiga Sammudo Vidyaya Vidyayeshaha Prakashate Nirvikalpanusandhana Samyagatma Prakashate. The Lord by Maya, quite deluded, by Vidya manifests himself. By meditating on the Nirvikalpa or the undifferentiated ego, Atman shines in full. But let us look at the Sanskrit meaning of it. Mayaya Adhiga Sammudaha Vidyadesha Prakashate. So, this Ishvara which we described in the earlier verse is the reason for Prakasha, for the shining, or being the one which is making knowledge happen. And he is the Vidyayesha, Vidyaya Isha. So, he is the manifesting of, he is the the controller of the Isha, of the Vidya or the knowledge. But when it is Maya, Adhiga Sammuda, but when it is deluded by the Maya, then he thinks that he is a limited Jiva. Nirvikalpanusandhane Samyagatma Prakashati. Now, Nirvikalpanusandhanena. This Vikalpa means creation, or the projection by Maya is called Vikalpa. Nirvikalpa means when that projection stops. How does it stop? Anusandhanena. By chasing or following that awareness of ours which is untainted, untouched in our deep sleep. If we can see them present in the waking and in the dream, Samyak Atma Prakashate. That is the time that Atma, that the real Atma or the innermost bosom or the individual, he shines in all the three states of awareness. That is the time when he doesn't identify with the waker, identify with the dreamer, nor identify with the deep sleeper. He is Atma in his present, all those things. So therefore, the Maya doesn't have, cover him anymore. He is even able to see the Maya, what is happening. So he is a controller. He goes above the Maya. But a jiva, when he doesn't know this reality, being a victim of Maya or ignorance. Maya and the ignorance have to be controlled. On the individual level, we call it as ignorance. At the Ishvara level, who controls that, who knows it, like the magician of those days of Indrajala, who throws the rope into the sky and makes the audience feel that he's climbing through the rope to going to the sky in the form of a soldier, and having a sword fight, and his own body parts falls down from the sky. While he is doing this projection for the audience, he is standing in one corner of the stage on controlling the entire audience without he himself going through any of this rope and climbing up and getting killed by the wall. He is in full control of the projection, hallucination, or the mass hypnotism he is doing on the audience. That is the state of the nirvikalpa anusandhana. What happens is that when we know that this Maya is the projection, and if I fall a prey to it, not knowing my reality, I become the individual ego and the jiva. Therefore, the life of the jiva or the individual will definitely be hampering our thoughts, intellect, mind, our activity, etc. But when you are aware that you are that individual, that Ishvara, who has the control of the Maya, let the waking come, let the dream come. You know the reality of the waking, you know the reality of the dream when it is happening, and even in the deep sleep, you are able to identify your real nature without the darkness or the ignorance covering the deep sleep, or the non-apprehension in the deep sleep is also a phenomenon only. You know that beyond your own existence, when you identify that is my reality, all these things are projections from my point of view, then you are no more victim of the projections. Avidyakya tirodhana vyapaye parameshwarah Dakshinamurthy Srupo Asau Swayameva Prakashate. When this veil, when this cloud, or when this darkness of the ignorance is apaye, it is removed, or when it is anachadana, or when it is pulled down, the curtain is pulled down, Parameshwaraha, he becomes that Parameshwara. He is the controller. He is the one who knows the phenomenon. He is no more a victim of the phenomena. He is a controller of the phenomena. And he is the Dakshinamurthy Swarupa also. He is the Jnana Swarupa. And Swayameva Prakashate. That becomes his real nature, no more identified with the body and the hamperings of the body or the limitations of body. Idi Dakshinamurthy Stotrartha Pratibadake Prabandha Manasollase Chaturthollasa Sangraha. Thus, the Manasollasa is completing Dakshinamurthy Stotrasya of the fourth Ullasa, Chaturtha Ullasa Sangraha. This is how it has to be understood, as that fourth stotra of the Dakshinamurthy Stotra. Now in the next is the false personation of Atma, is what is going to be discussed in the fifth stanza, which we'll be doing it in the next week. Deham pranam apindriyani apijalam buddhim cha shunyam vituhu Stri balanda jadopa maswahamiti branda brishambadinaha Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpita Maha Vyamoha Samharine Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Now this stotra we will take up in the next class, where why do we have the false personation? the persona which we associate with ourselves is not a real persona. The person behind the persona is what is to be then, or the Ishvara or Atman or the real self behind the Jiva is what we have to identify. And that, why is it Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpitam? It is due to the projection of the play of the Maya, the power of Maya. And the one who removes that, Vyamoha Samharine, the Guru, or in the form of knowledge, is the one. Vyamoha means this delusion. Samharine means one who alienates or one who destroys, like that. To such a Guru is my prostration. Now, why does Deham Pranam Apindriyani Jalam Buddhim Cha Shunyam Viduhu Stri Bala Jada Upama Ahamiti Pranta Brishambadina? This is where the false personification, how I am saying that I am a Stri, or I am a lady, I am a man, I am a child, all those things is association with the Deham. This fifth stanza we will take up in the next class. Any questions? Okay, so can we stop here? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all.